Hey writers, today we are going to look at our nonfiction books. I'm going to introduce you to some of our writing mentor texts, but this unit and our reading unit are going to be really closely combined. And so let's get started with book introductions. Our first book is called Into the Sea. We'll slide over here. And so this is a literary nonfiction book. When we look through this, it starts with the birth of the sea turtle going into the sea. And then it just describes the life cycle as the sea turtle is living in the oceans. Gorgeous photos. And it ends up with kind of an author's note about sea turtles in the wild and the dangers that they face and things that we can do as humans to kind of help them out. All right, so next up we have the mentor text, How to Talk to Your Dog. And I couldn't resist. I needed How to Talk to Your Cat because I have cats in my house. And so these are really cute books. Jean Craighead George talks a lot about how to interpret what your dog is saying and how to talk to your dog so you have a good relationship with your dog or your cat. And I think it's really cute how she has like a photo of herself, but all the other parts of the story are illustrations. I think that's just adorable. But Jean Craighead George did not stop there. She is an amazing author. She also has some really good fiction titles. So if you think you would like this author, I highly recommend her. So she also wrote this book, Everglades, another literary nonfiction book. So it tells the story from the point of view of the storyteller taking the children kind of on a field trip into the Everglades. And then at the back of the book, it kind of gives you some of the animals that are disappearing from the Everglades, the ones that are kind of endangered. All right. If you want to take a trip out of this world, you would go with Stephen Kellogg's If You Decide to Go to the Moon. It has another literary nonfiction focus. And so this story is kind of a cute story about some children imagining what it would be like to go to the moon. And so, but then Faith McNulty throws in a lot of real facts about rockets and space travel in with the fun facts. Okay, if we're coming back down to earth, this is a super cool story. The author was 15 when she wrote this book. It was her school assignment, but she took an interesting twist on this reference book. Instead of just giving the facts about different animals, she organized it by the alphabet. And so we have an alphabet book, and each letter of the alphabet has an animal. I think they're all animals. I don't think there's plants. I think it's all animals. And then she gives a nice little paragraph description of that animal and where it lives and different facts about what it eats and what it's like in the rainforest. So super cool. Her teacher, after she was finished with the assignment, her teacher was like, I think you should try to get that published. That's really cool. Okay. So if we want to go back to reference, we have this really interesting book called Exploding Ants, Amazing Facts About How Animals Adapt. So Joanne Settle, she decided to go to appeal to the gross side of animal life. And so she has all kinds of facts about animals and how they adapt, like if they snatch bodies or if they explode or if they suck blood. But yeah, so she has really interesting, cool facts that appeal to people if you like kind of the gross side of life. Excuse me. All right, so we had The Drop of Rainwater as one of our reading selections. In our writing selections, we have The Drop of Water. This is an amazing book. I know I say that every time, but look at that picture. These are like amazing photographs. Like he did so many cool photos of water and how drops of water have all these different properties. It even has some frozen water. Lots of little pages about bubbles. But I think the photography in this book is so eye-catching, really pulls you in and makes you wonder, what is that picture all about? And then we have another reference book called The Top of the World by Steve Jenkins. He's another really good picture book nonfiction writer. If you can get your hands on some of Steve Jenkins' books, I know the other one I have at school is called Actual Size. And so in the illustrations are actual size of the animals and plants. In this book, he uses collage. And so when you get up close and personal with the book, like each different color, that's actually a different piece of paper. And then he layers the papers out from the bottom to the top. Similar to like an Ezra Jack Keats or Leo Leone, those illustrators or those author illustrators, they use collage. But he has tons of information about if you wanted to climb Mount Everest. And so he has lots of little small paragraphs, lots of facts. That is super interesting. Before I read that book, I had no idea about climbing Mount Everest. And the next book we're going to do, this is Jim Murphy's The Great Fire. Obviously, if you look at the size of this text, we're not going to read that whole thing. But this is a great reference book that also has an aspect of literary fiction to it because it tells the story of this one event in Chicago where the whole town, it happened long ago, the whole town caught on fire. And it has tons of cool maps and tons of cool illustrations because when this book was written, photography was not quite as prevalent as it is now. And so there's a few photos, but the cameras weren't able to capture. They were too big and too bulky and there was too much danger. And so they relied on illustrators to capture the night that it happened. They had to go back and draw from memory the events. But it kind of tells about different people that were prominent in Chicago at the time. And it tells the story of their events from the point of view of different real people, but they kind of come across as characters in this book. So this one's really cool. We're going to look at some features of this one too. And it is an award winner. And finally, we're going to read Martin Jenkins' book, Ape. We're going to read this one today in its entirety, so I'm going to save this one for the next slide. But this is a really cool book about the 5 different types of great apes. So if you notice, a lot of these books are about animals or places. One is about an event that happened. They're all informational books. They can all teach us about different topics. And so one thing that we want to think about with nonfiction is that nonfiction books are always about true things. They're going to contain lots of facts. They're going to be based on research. These are not things that the authors made up. They had to go out and find the real things and then decide how they want to present them. So even if it's literary nonfiction, it's based on real facts about the Everglades or sea turtles. And then they come in different forms. We've got long books, short books, picture books, books with photos, books with illustrations. So no 2 nonfiction books look exactly the same. And it's up to you, the author, to decide, how do you want to present your information to your reader? Okay, so we're going to stop this part of the video, and we're going to go read the story Ape on the next slide. I'll see you there.